My name's Patricia and I'm going to do a flip through of a journal that I made for my newly discovered cousin, Jenny. Now, this video is probably more for Jenny than anyone else because I don't think there are any techniques in here that other people haven't used before me. So, it's Jenny's 60th birthday this year. So I have made this special journal for her. I've made his paper, what's it called? Fabric paper, which is fabric on the inside and then a whole lot of paper napkins pasted and decoupaged on the outside. And as you can see, Jenny is a blue and white girl, just like I am myself. So I've put some little embellishments that I found from opportunity shops and lots of laces. I used to work in the bridal industry myself, so I have lots of laces left over, and I've used up doilies and things I find in op shops. Now, Jenny not only likes blue and white, but she's a marriage celebrant, so I thought I would go with a bit of a flow of marriage and blue and white. And also she is a fabulous photographer, so there's a bit of that in here every now and then. Now I've started with a pocket on the inside, a page from a seed catalogue. Now the seed catalogue was in a very bad state of disrepair, in case you think I've been disemboweling valuable old books. This one was so far falling apart so badly that I've had to put some lace to strengthen the spine of it. But it's the Blue Book of Gardening from 1938. Then I've been influenced by a lot of YouTubers like Gail Augustinelli, who's probably my favourite, to be honest, and just made lots of little pocket flips and things using styles that I've found on their pages. I've found some lovely quotes. Actually, what's this one? People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out, but when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is a light from within. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She, I didn't realize she wrote this sort of philosophic sayings. She did write the 7 Stages of Grief. So I thought she was a psychologist more so than a philosopher, but very wise words anyway. So these were pages out of a little book, and they've just been stamped. Use more than anything to show Jenny where there are pockets in the journal that I'm about to give her. Similarly, that's just a little scrappy piece that I've hand stitched. It's on a page from a Shakespeare book. I thought she might want to stamp the back of them with her details of being a celebrant, use them as a very different kind of business card, or not. That's what I would do if I was doing that business, but then I'm not doing that business. So we have pages from a plant book, and then a pocket with a journaling card, and the most delightful Grace Kelly. And I did take some notes for those of you who are probably too young to know who Grace Kelly was. She was an actress, a Hollywood actress, who won an Oscar in 1954 and acted in many movies. And she was married to Prince Rainier III of Monaco in 1956 and became Princess Grace of Monaco. She died tragically in a car accident in, when was that, 1982? And so here is a drawing of the gown as it was designed, and here she is wearing the gown. Actually, my wedding gown was influenced by that. I didn't have quite such a small waist She did. Anyway, so then we have a quote from Shakespeare. And what have kings that privates have not too, save ceremony? I think perhaps she was living proof that even ordinary people can marry princes and have ceremony. The Shakespeare book, by the way, there's more of the Shakespeare book in here. My sister used it to hold her P plates up in her car when she first got her license. So it got quite sun damaged, and I don't feel bad at all about cutting that one up. In fact, it gives it a whole new lease of life. So here we have a paper clip that's been embellished with just a journal card with some pretty roses on. And a pretty doily. This is actually a postcard from the Fremantle prison. It's a sketch on the cell wall by an unknown convict. And I thought she looked rather, well, she's angelic certainly, but perhaps a little bit bridal. Incidentally, my new cousin, Jenny, and myself share a common ancestor, which is Thomas Aloysius Seary and Mary Fennell. They both were children of what are they called? Pensioner guards, enrolled pensioner guards, which were retired British military who came to West Australia in around 1874. And Michael Fennell, who is our common great-great-grandfather, worked as a guard for the convicts in Fremantle. So he worked at the very place where this drawing was put on the wall. And we have another picture of a lovely bride. There is something about a wedding gown prettier than any other gown in the world. Perhaps I could agree with that, seeing as I used to make wedding gowns. Jane Austen, who is a marvellous author, I'm sure we can all agree. And the famous quote from Pride and Prejudice, "It is a truth universally acknowledged that a single man in possession of a good fortune must be in want of a wife." So I've made this into a little notebook. A page has been covered in a paper napkin, and there's also a little lace flap on the side there. Thornton Wilder, Our Town. Now, I did look him up because I thought, who is this person? He was an American playwright, and Our Town is a 1938 play that was made into movies. A man looks pretty small at a wedding, George. All those good women standing shoulder to shoulder, making sure the knot's tied in a mighty public way. So what have we got here? I've made a little flip using just a paint. If you flip that over, you can see British paints. It's just a paint chip from our hardware store. Paper bag that's been embossed under one of those embossing machines. Another little quote. Well, while we're here, goodness is the only investment that never fails. True words. And a tag with an old-fashioned camera on it. So that's one of the first references to photography, especially for Jenny. Okay, George Bernard Shaw, who was an Irish playwright and sort of a social commentator, I would say. Marriage is popular because it combines the maximum of temptation with the maximum of opportunity. Never a truer word from a man, I'd say, especially one born in the mid-1800s. So here we have a Buttericks pattern picture from my lovely friend Lily. And on the back there's some journaling space. And a little pocket there with some lace on. Here we have a very serious looking young woman. and a little journaling card behind her. Some handmade paper, also from my lovely friend Lily. And the music to Norwegian wood. Now, who doesn't love Norwegian wood? This bird has flown. Next page. Oh, this lace. Isn't it beautiful? It's a lace pocket. I saw Gail Augustinelli make that on her YouTube page, and I've made a few since then. I put in just an envelope with a piece of paper for Jenny to write whatever she'd like to write on there. This little lovely trim is from my mother's stash, so it would be from the 1950s or 60s, so it's quite got a bit of age to that. Here's the first page from the Shakespeare book, which I've decoupaged over, and we have Let All the Joys Be as the Month of May, and All Thy Days Be as a Marriage Day, by Francis Quarles. And here we have a marriage and a celebrant, just like Jenny. Well, he's not at all like Jenny. She's lovely. He's a bit weird looking. But anyway, here's a journaling card. Some lovely doily coffee dyed paper. A belly band made out of some scrap pieces from the cover of this journal, and some little tickets with 1960, because it's someone's very special birthday. Someone whose name starts with J. Journaling card, and that's on a piece of ledger paper. Some more pockets here, and here we have another camera. And just a very ordinary journaling card. Jenny does like the white cabbage moths. Well, they're very pretty how they flit around the garden. They're just not so pretty when you're growing cabbages. Here we have another one of these lovely lace pockets with a journaling card, a mini journaling card in it. Oh, my friend Tanya made this pretty little frock out of a doily. So we'll just slop that in there. And journaling card. More journaling space and a little side flip pocket. Here is another one with artichokes. Oh, who doesn't love artichokes? And this one I've made also into a pocket or journaling space on the back. And we have some lace here because I actually had a weakness in the spine part of the old Shakespeare book. So that was used to strengthen that. And then I used it also as a pocket for a quote and a blank page for journaling on. Oh, just a little bit of Romeo and Juliet. Well, why not? While we're in the romantic state of mind. Some more paper. Here's the other half of our lace pocket with similarly another envelope with blank paper. And I've made a belly band here. Look, I don't know who this married couple are. That was in a book. George and Mildred, perhaps. They don't look that happy, actually, but the little girl looks gorgeous in the background. And we have another quote there. Life is short. Be swift to love. Make haste to be kind. That's very nice. And we have the opposite page of Norwegian wood. I looked around and I noticed there wasn't a chair. And we have a little flip here that something could be put behind, and a pocket in here which has some more of Lily's lovely handmade paper. Now another paint chip here, a couple of tags and journaling space, and a quote by Oscar Wilde. Marriage is hardly a thing can do now and then, except in America. Now, we must bear in mind Oscar Wilde passed away in 1900. Divorces were very hard to get. Hard to get even in Australia until 1974, when the No-Fault Divorce Act was enacted. Does that sound right? Yeah, anyway, something like that. Here we have another bride and some lovely songs from an old songbook. This, I've got to write on the back of it actually. That's the Barrack Arch, which is where our common great-grandparents, Thomas Aloysius Seary and Mary Fennell, first lived when they arrived in Perth around about 1874. Well, they arrived with their parents, but perhaps they met each other at the barracks. The actual Barrack Arch has been moved. It now sits on Malcolm Street in Perth. It wasn't originally there. The rest of the arch has been pulled away, the rest of the barracks have been demolished in the 1960s, and the actual brick archway was moved further up the road, which is nice that something was kept in remembrance. And we have another pocket here with the wedding theme again, with a little, I've just popped in a bit of Shakespeare with a stamp on it, really to let Jenny know that there's a pocket there. It could go unnoticed for years. And another little journaling card in the side pocket that I formed between the two pages. And over the page I've got a little fabric flip cluster with a journaling card and a little quote from Heinrich Heine. The music at a wedding procession always reminds me of the music of soldiers going into battle. Well, he lived during that time. He was 1700s to the mid-1800s he died. He was Karl Marx's third cousin. There you go. Here's another piece of Lily's lovely handmade paper. Some pockets. And this lovely lady was on the cover of Vogue, probably in the late 1920s. So that's now a little journaling card. And here we have another journaling card, and this is a pocket, and it's also a flip, so something could be put underneath it as well as inside of it. It's a little bit like a corset. And this is actually one of my favourite pages because of all the Gothic cathedrals, and they remind you of weddings, don't they? And we just have a side, a sort of triangular pocket with some pretty laces and things. This was my business card from when I used to have my bridal business in London Court in the High Street Mall of Perth, for those of you familiar with Perth. That's with the journaling card in there. If you try and call that number, no one's going to answer. Well, I don't think they will. They won't know me. Another little fabric flip made out of scraps. This is one of my favourite little tags, and I decided I would part with it for Jenny. She is one of the new romantics. Well, the new romantics painted her. I'm not sure exactly which one. Anyway, you could look that up. And on the back we have a pocket with that same butterfly. It's a bit of a butterfly theme throughout. A journaling page, a little notebook with, another paint chip made of another paint chip. Slide that back in there. And a belly band here made with scraps from the cover of this book. And journaling card with poppies and some poppies on this paper from a gardening book. And here's the other side, some space for writing notes on. The other side of our lovely lace flip that we saw at the start. We've got a journaling page. This one can have notes on the back. It's got a little seed packet on the front. And here's the last page of the sweet peas. Well, the Blue Book of Gardening. This little bookmark has been secured with some lace here, and we have another pocket at the back. And there's the back page, which has a little church in the distance and a stork, which brings the babies. Anyway, let's get sentimental, why not? And that's that. That's the book for my awesome new cousin Jenny. And when I say new cousin, it's because we found each other through having our DNA tested through Ancestry.com. Her father and my father were first cousins, but her father was unfortunately adopted away from our family, and his father's name was spelt incorrectly on the birth certificate, so he never got to meet his father, who was my great uncle. I never got to meet that great uncle either, to be honest. Anyway, but fortunately we've all met now. Jenny's father, Doug, who was my dad's cousin, is an awesome person, really lovely, and his wife Lynn too. So yeah, there we go. Let's see how that turned out. I may never show it to anyone. Bye.